Well, first off, what timing is this, right? I'm just still processing everything that just happened after watching the whole hearing. I don't think that's the way this story ends. I think that this proceeds after there are some negotiations and some changes to accommodate the fiscal hawks who voted against it. I think it goes out of the House. I think then you have another massive, massive showdown with the Senate, which is unwilling to even do some of the reforms that the House has included. Ultimately, and I've been saying this for a while, I think it could pass as a massive budget buster as it is currently, or it could end up being just temporary extensions and limping along to continue to figure it out. But those fiscal hawks are not comfortable with the borrowing that is in the bill, and I sympathize with them. It's huge.
Well, let's talk about busting the budget here, Maya, because as always, the committee has done quite a bit of work looking at least what we believe, what we have now in terms of legislation and what it might mean for the deficit and debt moving forward. The developing House reconciliation bill, as you write, is shaping up to add roughly $3.3 trillion to the debt through fiscal year 34, setting the stage for more than $5.2 trillion of additional debt if policymakers ultimately extend temporary provisions. And that might be right where we are, Maya, because Speaker Johnson needs to sweeten the pot for SALT Republicans, and he needs to cut even more to make the Freedom Caucus happy. So are these numbers going to be even worse?
Yeah, there's a couple of points. One, a big part of this bill is just temporary tax cuts. Remember, we're in this situation right now because there are a bunch of temporary tax cuts expiring. And you've got the Senate saying, oh, we shouldn't have to pay for them because we always meant for them to be permanent. They made them temporary, so the bill would be smaller when they first passed them in 2017. And now they're saying they shouldn't have to pay for them. And yet, in the very same breath, they're also, so far in the House, and the Senate, I assume, will do the same thing, putting in new tax cuts on a temporary basis. So it's really arguing, I mean, baselines, people are sick of baselines, I'm sure, but multiple baselines at one time. Don't charge us for extending things. Don't charge us for the full cost if they're temporary. So there is a very strong chance that these tax cuts, if they're put in place, will be extended because it always plays out that way. So the price tag will be much larger there. And then two, to your point, they're not done negotiating. The SALT folks don't think that a $30,000 cap is enough. They want to up it. This is a very expensive bill, and the fiscal hawks would not be comfortable doing that in a way where it's just deficit finance. They'd want more offsets.
We talked to Nicole Malliotakis about that around this time yesterday. The Republican from New York has this incredible scenario in which she has to straddle her sitting on the Ways and Means Committee with her membership in the SALT caucus. So they got to $30,000, raised the cap to 30, up from 10. Here's what she told us yesterday about what that means for her district.
SALT right now is roughly, it's about $215 billion. We want to stay within that piece. Now, that may mean we need to adjust the dials. The tripling of the deduction to $30,000 covers 98% of my district. Now, would I have liked a higher number? Sure. But it's not what you want, it's what you need.
Well, here's the problem, Maya. She wasn't even allowed in a meeting with SALT Republicans the other day because of her role on the Ways and Means Committee. This is how chippy it's gotten on Capitol Hill. Does the issue of SALT as a singular issue here threaten this bill the most?
It's interesting. I saw that interview and I thought, I wonder how people will respond to that, because the SALT group is diehard on this issue. Is it the biggest threat? I don't think it's the biggest threat. I think the biggest threat is the fiscal conservatives. I think it's the debt levels. I think it is the more that bill hangs out there and people understand that you are talking about adding 3 to 5 trillion from this version. And like I said, I think it gets worse, not better. I think the real threat is that there are just enough Republicans who've been talking about the need for fiscal responsibility and spending cuts. They cannot stomach, no matter what the talking points are, they cannot stomach a bill that would add to deficits and debt. That's where I see it could break down. The SALT folks should be very happy with 30. They're still negotiating. They'll negotiate to the last minute. It's incredibly expensive. And
did you hear that from Maya MacGuineas? They're listening to us right now, Maya. You're going to get the emails just like I am.
Yeah, I sure am. And I know this is the only group that's scarier is the seniors when you say something about not adding new benefits. But, there's a strong and interesting case, and people don't appreciate this, but why would states that are low tax states be subsidizing high tax states when those high tax states are getting something in return. They are getting benefits, they are getting programs. These are the decisions the states make. So it's difficult to say, well, you have fewer benefits, so you should subsidize ours, which is really what
Right.
it is. Okay, I'm getting
Getting to
so
the
much
heart of the matter. Yeah, I'm in big
I'm
trouble. I'm going to go
myself.
home after this
Sorry
is
to
over.
bring you down with me.
Spending time with Maya MacGuineas here. As if you're just joining us, the bill failed in the budget committee. The lead off to the big beautiful week that was going to end with a floor vote next week. Maya, you've been through this a couple of times. What do you think happens next? It looks like they're not coming back today. Could Speaker Johnson still pull off a floor vote next week?
I think it could. I'm not saying that it's certain at all, but I certainly think it could. First, I've been amazed because every time I look at where they are, I'm like, I don't see how you get to the next step, and they have. And I think Chair Arrington has done a great job kind of making everybody feel heard through this. I think there are some trades that could happen. It seems to me that some of the holdouts might say, in return for, or we want you to have, we are very, very uncomfortable with how these tax cuts expire, and then the savers don't phase in until after President Trump leaves office. They wait 4 or 5 years, right? So they're like, this is all backloaded in the savings. It never happens when it's structured that way. I could see them insisting that the savings is moved up, and that becomes something that would entice them to vote this out of committee. And then there might be some space for SALT there. Again, I don't think there should be, and it's so expensive, hard to do it. But I think that's what it is. It's moving up some of the savers that might get some folks to buy in.